Hello, my name is Corey Lorenz. Welcome to our group presentation on conflict in the workplace. So far, we've covered 3 different types of conflict: task conflict, process conflict, and relationship conflict. We've also covered the causes and effective ways to deal with conflict. In this section, we're going to cover a 4th perspective: productive conflict. In a young executive's very first board meeting, he dared to ask his new boss, the CEO, "What is the protocol, if any?" He was shocked by the answer. The CEO looked over and said, "Speak your opinion. If all I wanted you here to do was to nod your head and say yes, then there's really no need for you to be here." Productive conflict is not a strange version of conflict. It is simply using conflict productively. A conflict-free organization isn't great. It's near death. Now, why would we say that? Well, every organization has conflict. Conflict causes fear. People afraid of conflict may not express their opinions as well as they would if they did not have this fear. Fear can lead to inaction and avoidance of the issue of conflict. And that's kind of counterproductive. Conflict is natural. Conflict can be productive. Now, why is conflict productive? Conflict can force people to interact. Conflict can cause an engagement with employees. People who may not express their opinions to one another all the time may be able to do it more in an environment where they're allowed to be engaged and to realize that the different points of view of each party have value. True opinions can often be expressed in conflict, and that can lead to a challenge, and challenges can lead to solutions. That's why there are benefits of conflict. We say that conflict engages employees, so to dig into it a little bit deeper, why does conflict engage employees? If employees feel that they can freely speak their mind about an issue, then they feel they've been engaged. They are a part of a productive team. It also gets the employees' attention if they come to a meeting and they're expecting that there may be some tension. If it's just sitting in a room, nodding your head, saying yes, eyes will droop and heads will sag. So it does help. And it can help with employee relationships as well. Because if you have a free flow of communication and you address conflict together, you can have an improved morale. Conflict's number one benefit in being productive is it improves ideas. If several people get together and they all say their ideas, whether or not those ideas are in agreement by all parties, does not mean that they're maybe not possibly a good idea. What it boils down to is, how do we make conflict productive? Well, there's one way of doing this. They say use the most respectful interpretation. So when you have an issue with something that's a conflict in the workplace, you can be more productive and dig into that issue a little bit deeper by addressing the issue and not the person behind the issue, and doing so, as it says, in the most respectful interpretation. I'm having trouble understanding this. My perspective is this. Or, could you explain this a little more in this capacity, because I would think maybe we can look at it from this perspective. Instead of saying, "You're wrong, I don't like your idea." If you use that respectful interpretation when you're having conflict, you can turn that conflict into productive conflict. And you may get the other person to think and change their mind. That's called prefacing opinions. And anytime you enter a conflict situation, because some companies believe that conflict is inherent and conflict is natural and needs to be present. But in order for people to feel they're a part of the team, to be engaged, to have a boost in morale and build relationships, they have to have one major thing, and that is a freedom of speech. To know that whenever there is a conflict being addressed, they can literally speak their opinion. Other methods of creating productive conflict is to create an expectation of conflict. If a person expects there will be conflict in a particular meeting or interaction, they will come more prepared. And they may have had a chance to cool off on a particular issue. And be receptive. Because overall, to make conflict productive, to help get those good ideas out, you have to reduce fear. So, conflict in a workplace has many causes. There are many ways to deal with it, but it is not always a negative. Conflict can also be productive and can be positive. Thank you.